YouTube. In today's video, we got YouTuber sentenced for trespassing into nuclear facility. Now we know this is gonna be crazy, so let's get straight to it, man.
This Ukrainian YouTuber live-streamed himself illegally entering Japan's Fukushima nuclear exclusion zone and got arrested after broadcasting everything to his audience. And it's safe to say that what seemed like just another urban exploration video turned into an international controversy involving embassies, courtrooms, and debates whether Japan is actually way too soft on influencers who break the law for content.
Now, my thing is this: why do other countries always try to mind other countries' businesses, bro? Like, mind your fucking business, bro. If China don't really give a fuck about it, then they don't really give a fuck about it.
Because, you know, when your creative experiment ends with your own government apologizing on your behalf and a judge deciding your fate, it's clear that things quickly went off the rails. So meet Alexander Krykov, a Ukrainian content creator who runs the YouTube channel Kryosin with 6 million subscribers. And his content focuses on what he describes as creative experiments and extreme science projects. As we're talking about videos that show people how to pull electricity from train tracks, charge their phones using high voltage power lines, and other activities that should come along with a screaming, "Please do not try this" warning label, because it's safe to say they can go very wrong. And this video also went extremely wrong. But his channel kicked off back in 2011 when Alexander and some of his buddies tossed.
Wait. So is he like a scientist or some shit? Like, I'm confused. Because, nigga, I just seen a fork get brought in with Thunderbolt. Like, that's some crazy ass shit. I would definitely not try that shit at home.
A foam can into a fire and filmed what happened. And despite the video being deleted, it got a few thousand views and they realized they might be onto something here. So in 2014, his subscriber count had got to a point that invited him to a creator festival in Moscow, where he learned about the business side of YouTube. And after that trip, he started shifting away from random dangerous stunts and moved towards content that was supposed to be a little bit more educational and practical. And the channel's popularity eventually got big enough to where Alexander could ditch his day job fixing televisions and washing machines to focus entirely on making videos. And nowadays, their content has evolved into a mix of survival tips for extreme situations and urban exploration. So as it turns out, this is not his first rodeo when it comes to off-limit locations, since, you know, he'd already pulled similar stunts in Chernobyl when he sneaked into the exclusion zone there and filmed inside the actual nuclear power plant. So by the time September 2025 rolled around...
Wait. So my thing is this. If you're filming in a power plant nuclear, I thought people can't go to places like that. Like, can't you die from like the atmosphere and the smell? Like, I'm confused. I mean, I get that as educational, but this shit is crazy.
And he decided to visit Japan with 2 friends, we could already guess where this was heading. So there were 2 other guys that traveled with him, and the 3 of them set their sights on one of the most restricted and sensitive locations in the entire country, the Fukushima nuclear exclusion zone. But back in March 11th of 2011, Japan got hit with a catastrophic earthquake, which then triggered a tsunami, which then triggered a nuclear meltdown in the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The earthquake knocked out the electrical grid, and the tsunami wiped out the backup generators, and the whole situation spiraled into one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. And about 12% of Fukushima became a no-go zone, which means entire communities were abandoned practically overnight, with residents having just a few hours to grab what they could before leaving their home.
But my thing is this: if it's such a big deal in a no-fly zone, how the fuck did they get in? That's what I want to know. Like, it don't make no sense. Like, obviously this shit does not bother China one bit, and I've never even heard of Fukushima. So if anybody knows about that shit, let me know what it's about in the comments below.
Over time, some areas got cleaned up enough to reopen, but certain zones remained designated as difficult to return zones because radiation levels are still too dangerous to live there. The town of Okuma, where Alexander and his friends were arrested, sits right in the middle of one of these restricted areas, so entering there without permission is illegal. But when content creators treat these spaces like they're just another, you know, interesting location for a video, it shows a pretty fundamental misunderstanding of what these places represent to the people who lost everything in this disaster. And here's where the problem started. So on September 23rd, 2025, the 3 friends made their way into the exclusion zone in Okuma and found an abandoned house to set up and started live streaming on YouTube. This was a bad mistake for them because the French YouTuber I covered, he wasn't caught because he didn't live stream. He just made the video, got out of there, and posted the video after he had left Japan. But the live stream footage showed them sitting inside of an empty house by candlelight, making tea and poking through personal items that had been left when residents evacuated over a decade ago. Almost like they were on some like casual camping trip rather than illegally trespassing in a radiation zone.
It doesn't look like they're bothering anybody though. To me personally, it looks like they're just generally trying to educate people on the past lives and just how it used to function. You feel me? Like just how people lived and stuff there. So honestly, I see why China's not really taking it that serious, if you ask me.
But while Alexander and his friends were busy filming their content, someone watching the stream was having a very different reaction. An anonymous viewer saw what was happening, recognized they were broadcasting from inside a Fukushima exclusion zone, and immediately called the local police station. So from there, police officers got to work using screenshots and the video from the stream to pinpoint the exact location.
Bro, I hate people who's always snitching and telling, bro. Like, mind your fucking business. How is this even hurting you? All they doing is just educating people on what's going on inside. If the cops didn't care about it then, why should they care about it now? Like, people are so nosy, bro. It's crazy.
And by the morning of September 24th, authorities had tracked down the house and showed up to make arrests. When officers arrived to the scene, they found 3 men still inside the property and took them into custody on the spot. According to the police station, they admitted to breaking in during the police questioning. So they were formally charged with unlawful entry to a residence, but since this involved a restricted nuclear zone, the situation immediately became more serious than just like an average trespassing case. So once word got around about the arrests, the story spread quickly. Japanese media picked it up immediately, and within a day or two, international reports were running stories about these Ukrainian YouTubers getting arrested for live streaming themselves from a Fukushima exclusion zone. And it didn't take long for the situation to escalate way beyond just a legal issue and became a full-blown diplomatic embarrassment, because on September 26th, the Ukrainian embassy in Japan released an official statement condemning what the 3 men had done. The embassy called their actions unacceptable and issued a public apology to Japanese citizens who felt disrespected by the incident.
How can you feel disrespected about this? If anything, they're putting y'all on. Way more publicity means more money that's gonna come into the community. Like, I guarantee you that one person who told has to be a no-life who just sits in a crib and just is a Karen or a guy. I don't know what the fuck.
We're also careful to emphasize that this incident shouldn't reflect poorly on how Ukrainians view Japan's support and friendship, especially in the light of everything Ukraine has been going through over the last few years. The former Ukrainian ambassador to Japan also weighed in personally on social media and posted that he was deeply sorry by the news and wanted to personally apologize for the behavior of these creators. And the whole situation also highlighted a growing frustration in Japan about foreign influencers who show up, ignore local laws, and treat their country like a theme park for their videos. And after the arrests, prosecutors moved forward in seeking actual prison time for the 3 defendants. They argued for 6-month sentences, pointing to the fact that this wasn't some accidental mistake. These guys intentionally entered a restricted zone, and they knew they were breaking the law, and they broadcasted the whole thing for the internet. However, during the court proceedings, one of Karasan's friends reportedly told the court that his goal was to show viewers how the Fukushima region was recovering since 2011. And he also said that he hadn't really thought about the legal ramifications of what they were planning to do.
I was never taught what laws there are.
We're not getting
Instead,
that shit
and the first hearing took
I ain't
place.
gonna lie, brother. Get that shit up, nigga. That shit sucked. All I heard was 2 seconds. That shit was terrible. No harsh feelings though.
On December 8th in the Fukushima District Court, and the case quickly moved through the system. And then finally on December 25th, the judge issued a final verdict. All 3 defendants were sentenced to pay fines of 100,000 yen each, which works out to about $650 per person. And then they were essentially just released and could go home. So this is where the opinions split pretty hard, because that sentence sparked discussions about whether Japan went too easy on them. And a lot of people have been pointing at that saying,
okay, my bad to everybody out there. It's actually Japan, not China. My bad. My apologies. I know how sensitive y'all are on the internet. Please forgive me.
hey, this is kind of a theme now. So while some people looked at the outcome and thought, hey, that was fair, they trespassed, got caught, paid a penalty, and moved on. They got stuck in the country for a while. Others saw this as way too lenient and worried it sends a message to other creators that Japan won't seriously punish any kind of behavior like this. According to a commentator article that came out about the sentencing, published in the Japan Times, Japan's approach stands in a strong contrast to how other countries in Asia have been handling similar situations. For example, we know these stories way too well, but you know, Johnny Smalley in Japan basically got a slap on the wrist. In Korea, he's been stuck there for over a year and he's facing multiple years in prison. And then we have Vitaly over in the Philippines, who's been sitting in detention since April 2025 after live streaming himself stealing from security guards, breaking into restaurant kitchens, and just threatening random people.
But this is the thing. These streamers right here, they were not bothering nobody. They weren't stealing. They weren't threatening. They were just doing an educational video of how Fukushima used to operate. The other two streamers, my nigga, they were stealing. They were threatening people of stabbing and killing. So yes, they deserve the time. But these guys, this is perfectly fine of how they handled this situation. W Japan.
Both of them did stupid stuff and they're finding out. But obviously this didn't happen in Japan. So a lot of the criticism is saying that, hey, Japan is making their country a safer bet for IRL streamers or creators who want to go harass and break laws there. Because it seems like they don't really want to throw creators in prison for filming content like that. Even though what they did was disrespectful and incredibly stupid. But as of right now, Alexander and his 2 friends have returned home to Ukraine, and what was supposed to be just, some compelling urban exploration footage turned into an arrest, an international embarrassment, and their own government publicly apologizing on their own behalf. I think
all right, that's the end of the video. I don't know why he's apologizing, because if anything, they're just doing educational videos, like I keep saying, for Japan, which is going to bring in more viewers and more money to Japan, So W Japan of not being tryhards and trying to just sentence everybody to a long term in prison. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.